Cheers. And what are you drinking tonight? I've got my tea in my little teacup. It's only half a tea, like I said yesterday. Cheers. Thanks for joining me again. Video 23. Here we go. The alcohol experiment. 33 alcohol free. I'm doing okay. Wondering if I'll start drinking again after this series. I think I will, but maybe not as often as I did last time. We'll see what unfolds, but I'll continue not drinking until I finish this book. Thanks for joining me on this adventure. You joining me with no alcohol? Let me know. Let's get into it. Again, no bookshelf. I always prefer to do this at home. I'm a bit more relaxed, but promise myself I'll do it every night, even though I'm in a hotel room tonight. I'll keep going. I'm achieving, which is good. Today, drinking due to unmet needs. The reason we may drink is there's some unmet needs in our life. I think we're going to be delving into that. Could be a bit scary. Might have to shift some things around. Might highlight some areas that we've got some needs that are not quite aligned and we're trying to fix it with alcohol. Maybe. We'll find out. The Dalai Lama quote, human happiness and human satisfaction must ultimately come from within oneself. Ugh. Human happiness, human satisfaction within. Okay. In 1943, Abraham Maslow produced his now famous hierarchy of needs. It's illustrated on the page here. Take a quick screenshot. Have a look at it later. I've come across this before. Have you come across the hierarchy of needs? Maslow was interested in human motivation and what made people behave the way that they do. He promised that people must meet their lowerly needs first before they will be motivated to move up to fulfill their needs at that next two levels. If a caveman was starving and there was a bison on the next ridge, he'd forgo the need for safety, pick up the nearest rock or stick, and go and hunt down that beast for supper. His need for hunger override his need for safety, because if he didn't fulfill the hunger, he'd probably die anyway. Once we have our psychological needs met, which is food, water, shelter, we move up to meet the need of safety. Imagine you're in an abusive relationship. Can you see how you might meet the need for safety by getting so drunk that you black out and forget about how bad your life is? So, good question. Fulfilling our own needs. Human beings have changed much over the past several thousand years, but our surroundings, get it right, our surroundings have changed dramatically. If we drink in social situations, it may be filling the need for safety because we feel safer when we fit in with the crowd. Fitting in, feeling safe in a social environment. If you're working at a soul-sucking job we hate and we drink to deal with that stress, it could be filling a need for security. Our paycheck is a security thing. You need to keep doing it. to help relieve the stress, because the security is a need in the hierarchy, I guess. You're trading the stress of an unfulfilling job for the security of a regular paycheck and benefits. And the bottle is how you're able to cope. So the bottom basic needs are psychological needs, which is not physiological needs, which are food, water, warmth, rest. Then it moves up to safety needs, which is security and safety. Then belongingness and love needs, intimate relationships and friends. Then esteem needs. So once all those ones are met, you start looking for self-esteem areas, like feelings of accomplishment and prestige. Then once that's met, you moved up to the self-actualization. Ooh, that sounds a bit woo-woo, which is achieving one's full potential, including creative activities. So that's when you maybe get into writing poems, doing art. You've got a need to express your true self. So that's interesting, that hierarchy of needs. Bottom stuff, and then you work your way up to the point. The need for connection. Connection and belonging are often unmet needs. So the connection and belonging. We used to live in tribal societies and extended families where human connection happened naturally. These days, we're encouraged to be independent. We isolate ourselves at home and at work. We commute alone, even if we're surrounded by people on a crowded subway. Yeah, I go to work and you're on a train full of people, but you're still alone. We plug into our mobile devices and ignore the world, connecting with our friends virtually, while our true human need for connection goes unmet. Really interesting. With all this connection through the internet, we've got the fake feeling that we're connected with people, but do you feel connected? But is it true connection? Question mark. I don't know. But drinking is something we can come together as a group and partake in. So that's social togetherness. We're all here to get drunk. Social media and technology can give us a false sense of connection, but it's not the same physical electric connection we get from actually being engaged in conversation with another human in the same room. We can't touch someone's arm to console them on Facebook. If they're going through something, you can send a nice message. But being with them, feeling empathy in the moment, and them seeing that, and that human connection is way more powerful. We can't smell someone's intoxicating perfume on Instagram. We can't taste that succulent cherry pie on Snapchat. That dinner looks great, but we can't taste it. Our senses are what makes us human. Senses is what makes us human. A computer can take in digital information and decide how to react. We are not computers. We're not computers? Okay. We need that sensual input to feel alive. We also have a human need for love and esteem, especially from ourselves. When we spend all day beating ourselves up for being stupid, weak, fat, clumsy, or whatever word you use to call yourself in those moments, it creates some pretty intense trauma. The old saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me, is so wrong. Words do hurt, especially when they come from ourselves. So we drink to numb that pain, and quiet the internal voice that's saying, we're not good enough, or we haven't done enough with our day. Yeah, we'll just drink that silly thought away. We have a need to care for ourselves, and we do that by indulging in an activity that we think will make us feel good. We've got a need to feel good. So, indulging in activities like drinking, shopping, gambling, or binging on that chocolate is trying to fulfill that need. And it may seem overwhelming at first to think about the fact that you may be drinking to fulfill unmet needs, but shining a light on the possibility is a start. Yeah, let's just be curious. Is that a reason why I was drinking? Is there some sort of unmet need in my life? Interesting. Yeah, becoming aware of the fact that there may be unmet needs in your life will often be enough to lead you down the path to answers. Just questioning that. Just asking the questions. So we've got some questions in here that will lead you to answers. So we'll ask ourselves, what are the possible unmet needs in my life right now? What are some of the unmet needs? How was I using alcohol to fill a need? How could I fill that need in a healthier way? I know I should be exercising and I haven't been to the gym yet. So getting that need met through health. I used to run a lot, and I know there was a healthy happiness, accomplishment thing I was getting from getting better personal bests that I don't get anymore. Is maybe my personal best is how many beers I can drink each night. So some reflections. Ali, is this a short chapter? Oh no, we've got a bit more. We've got an ACT to get through. Ali says, very grateful to Annie Grace for sharing her story. I would feel worthless in the throes of a hangover, anxiety ridden, and just so awful. I'm so thankful for this alcohol-free 22 days and no longer experience that pain. I'm feeling confident that I can remain alcohol-free. I'm not confident that I can remain alcohol-free. We'll see. Life is so much better without alcohol in it. I guess I'm still learning that my life is better. I am more productive. I am doing things like this without alcohol. I would not be doing this if I was drinking. I would not be achieving a goal that I've had to do regular videos if I was drinking. So maybe my life is better without alcohol. Ali also says, I can't imagine why I'd want to go back to drinking. Something to think about. Megan says, it's Sunday morning here in Perth, Australia. I'm in Perth, Australia now. My kids spent the night at Nana's house. Just 22 days ago, my husband and I would be extremely hungover today, having a night off from the kids. Today we're about to go for a run. I just spoke about that. After spending a night with friends watching a roller derby game, instead of hitting the after party, we went home and watched a movie together. Some quality time there. Relationship needs. A movie I actually remember because I didn't fall asleep watching it halfway through. I'm having a great weekend. Yeah, I watch movies, and as I've shared before, I would not remember the end. Hannah, after 3 weeks, on day 16, I said I was going to post a daily gratitude. Well, I didn't follow through with that. I've been so busy. So here are a few gratitudes to get me caught up. So she's got some gratitudes here. No wine-stained lips. Gratitude for my forever friends, her puppies. Husband who is supporting me on this journey. It's good to have someone who's supporting. Grateful that I live in a beautiful place with rivers, mountains, and blue skies. Wow, I haven't fallen off my bike after drinking. She used to fall off her bike drinking. Grateful that I never did any serious harm to myself while drinking. Yeah, I've been in some situations where I could have been in a bad situation, but luckily, there was one time I was in a place and I didn't know how to get back to where I needed to get back to where my friends were staying. And luckily, I found a guy who helped me because I was in an area I didn't know. I was too drunk to find my way back. But luckily, I made a friend, and he didn't steal my wallet. He helped me get back. But it's still a circumstance that could have been really bad, and me drinking is putting me in a circumstance where something could have went wrong. Interesting. Grateful that my body lets me run 5 miles. Yeah, haven't blacked out in 22 days. Love that I now go to bed, read, sleep, and get up clear-headed. That's Hannah. All right, so we'll get into the ACT, the awareness, clarity, and turnaround. I drink when I'm sad, and it takes the edge off. Many people believe alcohol not only helps them have a good time with their friends, but also relieves the physical feelings of sadness. They feel better while they're drinking. So, what would that belief be? It would be alcohol relieves my sadness. But I thought that too, but reading this, alcohol is a depressant. So, the clarity of that is it's pretty obvious where this belief comes from. We all observed people in our lives and the media feeling good with a drink in their hands. It's movies, TV shows that are constantly equating drinking with happiness. They do that in movies. But we've also watched the sad drunks crying their eyes out in public after a night of heavy drinking. It's sort of mixed signals. They want us to think that why is alcohol the non-prohibited drug so interesting? I know for me, the feelings of sadness that were already present only got worse after I'd had a few drinks. So what gives with that? So the sadness that was present got worse after we drink, but we think drinking helps get rid of sadness. Is it true? Which one? Which one is it really? Does drinking make you happy or does it make you sad? Alcohol does give us a little reprieve from our feelings, but not for long. And if you've ever had a drink to help you escape from sadness, you know it doesn't last. To find out if alcohol makes us happy or sad, we have to understand what's going on in our bodies chemically. Can we think of a time when this happened for you? Has it happened to you? Drink because you're sad, but a little bit helped, but then you kept drinking and that sadness came back maybe with a vengeance. You maybe starting out feeling great, but as the evening progressed, you kept drinking, you ended up weeping, crying, or just sulking, bummed out in a corner. There's a physiological explanation for this. You're definitely not imagining it. This effect is related to something called biophasic response to alcohol. We touched on this earlier when we talked about the blood alcohol content. Yes, I remember that. Go look at the video. How can alcohol make us feel good for a little while, but then ultimately be a depressant? But biphasic means there are two phases happening when alcohol enters the body. The blood alcohol content rises, but then it falls, depending on when you last ate. One drink can raise your blood alcohol content for between 30 minutes to 60 minutes. My friend and I used to skip eating just so we could feel tipsy faster. Maybe you've done the same thing, but sooner or later, your blood alcohol content starts to fall. And you don't feel as happy. So what do? You have another drink, trying to keep the blood alcohol content up, to keep those stimulating effects. While you are up, while that uptick is happening, uptick, you feel excited, relaxed, and maybe a bit numb because the alcohol is artificially stimulating your pleasure center. Stimulate that pleasure center, not in front of me. Then eventually the downturn happens, and alcohol's true nature as a depressant comes into play after maybe an hour. You become anxious, depressed, sad, or weepy. Maybe you get sleepy. Your body's like, let's just put them to sleep. Your body is compensating for the endorphins by releasing those counter chemicals. It wants you to come back down. It doesn't want you so high. And down you come. You go, boom. Until you start to feel really bad, maybe even worse than what you started. It's actually true. If you look at the statistics with the other video, it is worse than what we started. The blood alcohol content falls slower than it rises, though as you feel bad longer than you felt good. It takes longer to go, so we'll end up feeling bad longer than that quick up, then bad longer. Wow. The negative feeling starts when the blood alcohol content starts falling or gets high enough that it reaches 0.05 to 0.06. Many people don't notice the increasing negativity though. So you don't notice the negativity because they sleep off the effects and only notice the next morning when they feel terrible, thinking it's just a headache, but there's other chemical things happening as well. And because your body starts to feel miserable at a blood alcohol content of 0.05 to 0.06, even if you could tolerate that much alcohol, you can't keep up with the good feelings going. You can't keep those feelings going all night, either because the blood alcohol content will start falling or because you've reached such a high blood alcohol content, you will inevitably feel sad and depressed. So you're going to end up feeling sad or depressed either way with the blood alcohol content. Interesting. You can't help it. It's chemical. It's just the way it works. One of the things that disguises this phenomenon is the fact that we mainly drink in the evening, and your blood alcohol content continues to rise for a few hours and then the miserable falling of your blood alcohol content mainly happens while you're asleep. Sure, it interrupts your sleeping patterns, so you don't sleep as well as you should be, but other than that, you are not aware of the sad feelings that alcohol causes during the long decline in your blood alcohol content. You go to bed drunk, the sadness stuff. I wonder what you're dreaming about. I will get into more dreams and why you dream about at the end of this whole series, the last 2 videos. Annie says when she was 17, I was diagnosed with a major depressive disorder. It came and it went. I took all sorts of medications and was also in some counselor's office. Sometimes I wanted to sleep all day. Other times I couldn't sleep at all. During this cycle, when I am drinking regularly, I do find I have a day off and I do not want to get out of bed. So I might be getting more depressed from the depressant alcohol chemicals than I actually realize. This has gotten me thinking about that. The most serious bout I had was after my youngest son was born. It was a terrible time with the kid, getting a new kid in your life, something that I haven't experienced. You may know about that. And my drinking escalated because I didn't want to feel that sadness. What I didn't know then was that I was actually making things so much worse, actually making it worse. At one point, I was taking 3 antidepressant medications and a sleeping pill. None of the none of those mixed with alcohol, but I was desperate for relief, so I drank anyway. Depressants, sleeping pills, and alcohol, which meant I was dangerously combining pharmaceuticals with alcohol and probably rendering those medicals completely ineffective. Anyway, time for a drink. Drink with me. Ching. So that is tragic. There's a strong link between alcohol and suicide. In fact, drinking is the most common factor with all suicides. So with people who commit suicide, there's a drinking connection. More than 1/3 of victims were drinking prior to death, and statistics show that people who are dependent on alcohol are 120 times more likely to commit suicide. 120 times more likely. That's because alcohol causes depression and makes us act impulsively. It's heartbreaking, and so many people have had suicide touch their lives in one way or another. Quite a few people I know at work I've heard, luckily they haven't been my really close first work friends, but yeah, it touches everyone's life. When you're using alcohol to self-medicate and escape pain, drinking takes on a dark side. Maybe you're trying to forget some childhood trauma or just trauma that happened only last year. Or postnatal depression, like Annie did. She was going through postnatal depression on the pills as well as the alcohol. Whatever the reason, the pain you feel is real. And no one is blaming you. Not blaming you, because of course you'd be wanting to get rid of that pain. And alcohol seems to be doing what we need in the beginning stages. But the problem is the chemicals you're using to self-medicate do end up making the depression and the pain worse. So it's not really fixing. And the more we use alcohol to try and take away those bad feelings, the more of it you will need to reach the same temporary relief. So we're sort of on this slippery slope of trying to get rid of pain and then needing more of the alcohol to get to that same level of pain relief. But then the depressant side of alcohol kicks in and then causes us to want to have alcohol again. Whoa, and the worse you feel, and you feel about actually drinking. The depression not only doesn't go away, but it can actually escalate. And what's so wrong with feeling sad occasionally anyway? The fact of sadness is sort of like the black and the white, the happiness being the white, sadness the black. Without the two, if we're always in the middle like a seesaw, if we're just like that, we would be numb. The happiness, sadness, and the happiness helps us enjoy, I guess. Is that what she's saying? I'll keep reading. We're conditioned to believe that we should never experience discomfort. But why is that exactly? TV commercials make it clear that we shouldn't tolerate bad feelings. Anytime we have the slightest inkling for a negative feeling, we should numb it, medicate it, or run away from it. But reality, that's not true. Nothing incredible has ever happened that didn't have at least a little pain or sadness or discomfort. Singing with my friends, you have kids, there is pain and discomfort. And that is also releasing some sort of happiness. It's like they say, two sides of the same coin. With happiness, sadness will also come. So, interesting. Consider the birth of a child or even those awkward first dates. These things are not entirely comfortable, yet they are some of the most profoundly joyous occasions. Heck, wow, there is an entire period in our history dedicated to the sadness of modern man and the genius that came from it. Picasso's blue period. I don't know about that. I know about Picasso, but there must be an area where he was really sad and produced some great art. I might Google and research that. Trying to get rid of all sadness, all discomfort, is contrary to the principles of how the universe works. We're going against the science of the universe, maybe. Consider what a seed must do to become a tree. Two things. First, a seed, it must cease to be a seed by changing and breaking out of its shell. That would be painful. Oh, they're very intense things, changing and then breaking out of its cell. And second, it must go down, grow roots before it grows up and becomes a tree. A tree can only grow as high into the happiness as it can put roots down into the sadness. And able to root yourself, then you're able to grow into the sadness and be in both at the same time and truly live, maybe, is that question mark. Sadness is natural and normal. It is something we can learn from. When we tell ourselves it is wrong to feel sad, as I did for many years, we compound the feeling of sadness with the feeling of something being wrong with us and guilt. It's okay to feel our emotions. Nothing is wrong with us. We're human. We will feel sad. That's a 100% true thing. In this life, we will feel the difference, the whole palette of emotions. And imagine what we might learn or create if we allow ourselves, just like Picasso did, to feel. Be in and just sit in these emotions. Along with painting, so much great poetry and literature have been produced by artists because they were exploring and being present with those feelings like sadness or depression, and then releasing it in a creative way, which is interesting. Creativity is the top of the thing. So pushing up into that, even though we're not feeling quite right. Along with feelings that we've been taught by society and advertising is somehow bad. Is it bad if it's causing someone to produce so much great art? I have to wonder, how can any feeling be bad? Especially one that produces so much beauty, so much hope that someone else is going through the same thing. People don't talk about their struggles. They want to seem like got their life together. Once I figured out how to reverse my unconscious conditioning and stop drinking, then Annie says she was able to work with a naturopathic doctor on actually curing her depression. So getting out of the cycle of alcohol first, and then getting help in the area to help move out of that depression, and learning tools and skills to be able to maneuver through those feelings. That's really good. Over the course of several years, I put practices into my life like mindfulness. I am getting back into meditation. Like I said, I'll be reading some meditation books after this series with me. Come join me and try meditation. I find it is good for me, and I haven't done it for years. I'm going to get back into it full time. Last 2 days, or maybe 3 days, I did an hour meditation, 3 days in a row. And I find keeping it the same day, not the same day, the same time every day for the same amount, doesn't matter how long, but to do 5 minutes at the same time every day is more powerful with creating that routine. The other healthy practices is like protein-rich meals and regular exercise, she mentions, all of which combine to make a happier Annie than has ever been. So putting those practices in place, and I was able to get off all three of my antidepressants and anti-anxiety medications, but not before I spent many times lying on the floor of my closet crying and feeling like my family would be better off without me in it. I had those thoughts. I had those times, and I felt worthless. You might feel your family's better off without you, but is that the depressant talking? We need to give ourselves a chance to find out how much of the depressant is from this recycle of alcohol and how much is these feelings are getting times or whatever by alcohol. We need to take that out so we can reassess. I'm finding that I am not as depressed as I thought I was through this experiment. So keep pushing in and find out how much of these emotions you're feeling is actually true and not a chemical imbalance. You need to give yourself a chance to see that. It's come, stay, let's do 33 days alcohol free and see what our feelings are like. Just push through. Go, this 33 days, I need to do this, and then we'll reassess. We can do it. All that seems completely foreign to me now, though. So she pushed through, and that feeling those times and feeling worthless is now foreign. And it's terrifying to think that I might have what I might have done given the close link between alcohol and suicide. Are we on a slippery slope? If you're in this place now and if you're self-medicating with alcohol and hoping it will make things better, consider what's actually happening in your bloodstream. Think hard about the fact that no matter how much you drink and the continuing of needing to drink more and more, you will come down after those sessions, and the depressive effects, they will take hold. Depression lies to us, and alcohol makes those lies believable. So when life drags you backwards with hardship and sadness, it simply means that you're getting ready to launch forward into something great. It's the roots going down the tree so that you can grow more. Interesting. Out of the pain and sadness, you can find the courage and strength to truly heal yourself instead of masking the symptoms with alcohol's temporary lift. After the temporary lift, the deeper depression and sadness. Something great is waiting for you. Through this understanding that Annie was literally thinking her family would be better off without her. And that is just fully alien, not something she would think again. She thought, who was that? So I know that there is light once we get rid of it and the chemicals come. I'll stop rambling. But turning this around, so if thinking that alcohol relieves our sadness, the truth maybe, could you ponder or see how it sits with you, that alcohol doesn't relieve my sadness? Or alcohol makes me sad? I would say that is true for me. Come up with as many ways as you can that the opposite is true or truer than the original belief. So alcohol relieves my sadness. For an hour, maybe we get a bit of a buzz. But that's not relieving our sadness. That's a hook to make us even more sad. So alcohol doesn't relieve it. It actually takes us on a deeper level of depression. Wow, that's full on. I'll be sitting with that and pondering that, yeah, alcohol is not our friend. Pretends to be for an hour, and that's not very, very long with the effects of alcohol in our system. So, we're getting there. Thanks for joining me again. Put an emoji down the bottom if you reach this far. Choose a drink. A drink emoji. A coffee, a tea, a cocktail, any drink emoji. Or a juice. Put an apple, represent apple juice. A pineapple for a pineapple juice. Or a plum. Is there a plum emoji? I don't know. Find it. Put it down there. We'll both know. Finished my half cup of tea. I'll be seeing you tomorrow. Thanks for joining me. I'll be back at my house tomorrow night, so I will be more confident in speaking loud and engaging with you tomorrow. So thanks for joining me in these last two videos. I'm not as comfortable doing this, but I'm pushing through. My commitment to myself to not only be alcohol free for 33, but do videos daily. And I'm also doing the daily stoic in the morning. So join me in the morning, join me at night while you can. And then after this, some meditation readings, because I'm going to get back into meditation, mindfulness, and maybe push into some happy feelings in more of a natural way. It's really interesting. We can naturally release maybe similar chemicals. That's what I'm interested in finding out. Through meditation, can we release similar chemicals to cause buzz than we can with alcohol? Let's find out. Peace out. I'll see you again tomorrow. Thanks.